Hey everybody, thanks for joining in. I hope you had a great weekend, and hopefully you all have President's Day off. Luckily for me, this is a day off for me, so I really appreciate it, and I appreciate anybody joining in to watch my video and listen to this. Before I go on, I want to just remind everybody to please hit that like button if you enjoy the video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a great deal. I really appreciate it. And all right, with all that being said, I want to talk about yesterday's hockey game between the Rangers and Islanders. It's what the NHL calls the Stadium Series now. It used to be like the Winter Classic and things like that. I think they might have changed the name of it now to the Stadium Series, where every winter what they do is they have games in outdoor arenas, outdoor stadiums, which I think is a very cool idea. There was like 79,000 people yesterday at MetLife Stadium to see the Rangers and Islanders game, which by the way was an awesome game. They put on a great show. All right, let's kind of recap the game real quick, and then I'll get into some playoff scenarios and whatnot for the NHL. The Rangers were down 4-1 at one point in this game, and they rallied back to win the game 6-5 in overtime. I was watching the game, of course, and I at one point thought the Rangers were done. I mean, they looked really good. They scored a goal like a minute and 29 seconds into the game that was already 1-0. And that was their first shot on goal and ended up being one of their only shots on goal in the second period. They didn't get that many. But the Islanders came back like really quickly and scored like three goals. Before you knew it, that game was a 3-1 game. And the Rangers end up finding themselves down 4-1 in the second period. But they did come back to get two goals in that period to go into the third period with the score at 4-3. But like shortly into the third period, the Islanders came right back. They came right back on and scored a goal, made the game 5-3. So at that point, I was thinking, well, the Rangers probably are out of it because Shesterkin, he looked a little bit rusty. He has a problem with shots going in on his glove side. Now, normally, for all the years I've been watching hockey, like a goalie's glove side is it seems to be his strong point. But he seems to get beat on his glove side, and I don't know why. And teams kind of know that, so they aim for that. But anyway, going down 5-3 early in the third period, you thought that the game was kind of going to be in the hands of the Islanders. Because really, to be honest with you, the Islanders were kind of outplaying them the whole game. They had more shots on goal. They just looked more focused. And I'll get into why I obviously that's the reason in that game. But either way. So the Rangers find themselves down 5-3, and it was getting to the point where there was about 4 or 5 minutes left in the game. The Rangers were starting to put on the pressure, and Chris Kreider gets a tip-in goal. That's somewhere around 4 minutes left in the game, maybe a little bit more. Made the game 5-4. So now the place is going wild. Now the fans were kind of. It seemed to me like there were more Ranger fans than Islander fans, but both teams had a hell of a showing. There was the fans from both teams were there, but the Ranger fans, they were going crazy. When Kreider got the tip-in goal with about 4 minutes left. So now they got a chance. It's 5-4, and the Rangers are just pouring it on. And sure enough, Mika Zibanejad, in his one position on the right side of the goalie's right side in the slot, got a pass, one-timer, shot it in, tied the game 5-5. It was just absolutely the place went crazy. And it's honestly, it's good to see hockey being so popular now because I remember not too many years ago. Well, actually, it might be years ago now. When the NHL, some of you may remember this, the NHL went on strike, and the Stanley Cup Finals were not played that year, and the NHL was in trouble back then. The league was very near bankruptcy because ESPN stopped showing the games because they were supposed to show the Stanley Cup Finals that year, and when the NHL went on strike. And they canceled the Stanley Cup. They stopped showing them. Networks. The only thing that was keeping hockey surviving was in Canada. That the Canadian broadcast. That's all they do up there is watch. As hockey's their religion up there. So anyway, it's good to see hockey making a big comeback. But anyway, the game goes into overtime, 5-5. Now it was unbelievable. Like a minute something into overtime, or maybe it was even shorter than that. Let me check and see so I don't give you the wrong stat. Yeah, Artemi Panarin scores a goal seconds into overtime, and the Rangers win the game 6-5. But of course, there was some controversy because the net was kicked off of its moorings. by one of the Islander players. So the goal went in off the goalie, went in off the Islander defenseman, crossed the goal line. Rangers win the game. But the referees are reviewed the play. And I thought at first when I watched it, I thought they were going to take the goal away because the puck did cross the line after after the net was kicked off, whether it was accidental or not. I thought, well, they're gonna take this goal away. But I think what the officials decided was that the puck was on its way across the goal line before the net was kicked. It was kicked either inadvertently or purposely, whatever it was. It was probably an accident before it was kicked off, so the goal counted, and the place just went wild. They went crazy, which really was the right call because the announcers were explaining it in that way that if the if the shot came afterwards, then the goal wouldn't have counted. But since the puck was on its way across the goal, then it was kicked off inadvertently. The goal counted. It was a good goal. Rangers win the game. I just thought it was so exciting. Hockey's always been a great sport. I've followed hockey since I was a kid. And it's just a great sport to watch. It's exciting. It seems to be one of the only pure sports left. There doesn't seem to be any leaning towards one team or the other. The officiating is there's not as much room for mistake in hockey as there is in, say, football, basketball, even to some extent. Even baseball, like umpires can call strikes on balls that is not a strike. They can call outs on plays that are close, but at least baseball has adopted the replay. Like if there's a close play at first or at home, they can review it and change it, which I think it's a great idea. Use technology to your benefit. Don't let a team lose a game because of a bad call or something that's a little bit suspicious, which I think the NFL, to be honest with you, should do more of. But anyways, I don't want to sidetrack and talk about football. Football's over. That was a great game yesterday. Exciting to watch. Hockey's a great sport. So let's go into the NHL standings right now. So as the NHL standings sit right now, the Florida Panthers are on top of the Eastern Division with 76 points, followed by the Boston Bruins with 75, the Maple Leafs with 66, Tampa Bay 65, Detroit 62, the Sabres 52, Montreal Canadiens 52, and Ottawa down at the bottom with 46 points. Now that is the Eastern Atlantic Division. The Metropolitan Division of the Eastern Conference has the New York Rangers on top with 76 points, followed by Carolina with 69. The Philadelphia Flyers having a great season with 65. New Jersey with 60, followed by the Islanders with now 58, if not 59, because of yes, I don't know how updated this is. The Capitals down at the bottom, too, with 56, Penguins 55, and Columbus 54. So what does that all mean? Let me explain to you what all that all means. Hockey has an interesting playoff bracket, the way that they do it. Now, you know, the divisions are broken up like the East. There's the Eastern and Western conferences. The Eastern Conference has the Atlantic Division, and they have the Metropolitan Division, where the Western Conference has the Central Division and the Pacific Division. Now, unlike, like, say, the NFL, where you could have a team win their division at 7-9, and they'll get a playoff spot over a team that maybe finished in a really strong division with 10-7 record, something like that. They could miss. I've never really liked that. I understand that's how the NFL does it. I think that they should really relook at that the way that they do it. I don't really like that. I never have. The way the NHL does it, despite the Eastern Conference, Atlantic, and Metropolitan divisions, only the top. Now there are 8 teams in each one of those divisions. So what they do for playoffs is the divisions are combined. So the top 8 teams, regardless of if they're from the Atlantic or the Metropolitan, the top 8 teams in the conferences make the playoffs. That's how it works. It's not the first 3 teams from the Atlantic and the first 3 teams from the Metropolitan when one of those teams may be worse point-wise than a team in the other division. I hope I'm making that clear. I'm trying to explain it, which I think is a better and more fair way to do it. So you're not penalized if you're in a strong division, like the NFL does it. Like they say the AFC East, for example. You've got the Bills and now the Dolphins. You have divisions in the NFL that are very strong. So you could have a team finish like 10-7, 9-6, not make a playoff spot when a team in a division that is very weak, maybe not even 500, and they make a playoff spot. I've just never really liked that. Anyways, I don't want to digress from my point. The point of it is that the NHL, I like the way that hockey does the playoff spot. So the 8 teams that are in the Atlantic and the 8 teams that are in the Metropolitan, that's fine. The divisions have to be separated that way. But however, the playoffs are not that way. They take the 16 teams from each division, and then the top 8 of them make the playoffs. That's how it's done. So, so as it stands right now, the playoff picture would be the top 8 teams. Let's go to the Eastern Conference. Would be the Florida Panthers, the New York Rangers, the Boston Bruins, the Hurricanes, Toronto Maple Leafs, Tampa Bay Lightning, the Philadelphia Flyers, and the Detroit Red Wings. That would be the playoffs for the Eastern Conference right now. The New Jersey Devils are a couple of points behind Detroit, who has right now, they have the last playoff spot with 62 points, followed by the New York Islanders, which is really why that game was important to the Islanders. They need the points. They got 1 point for the tie. The Rangers got the extra point because they won the game in overtime. But as it stands right now, the Islanders are fighting for their lives, and that's why I think I said in the beginning of my video, they were really like playing their asses off because they need that much more than the Rangers do. Rangers are number 2 in the whole the Rangers are number 1 in the Metropolitan Division. They're number 2 in the conference for playoff spots. So that game was important to the Islanders. It's going to be a struggle, not a struggle for them, but they're really going to have to be at the top of their game right now to get that last playoff spot. So I want to make a video one of these days where I would like to see the NFL possibly restructure their playoffs the way that their brackets the way they do it. I know it's probably going to be an unpopular thing to most people, but I've always hated the fact that like a team that could be 7-9 makes the playoffs over a team that could be 10-7. That just doesn't sit right with me. It's not really fair. The NFL would never even consider doing something like that, but I would like to see them at least revisit it and say, hey, this really doesn't seem right. It's not quite fair. Maybe some people think that it is fair. I really don't know. In my opinion, I don't like it. But anyway, hockey put on, that was a great show. It was a great game yesterday. Rangers came back and won the game. It was exciting, as hockey to me always is exciting. It's a great sport to follow and watch. And we'll have to keep an eye on the playoffs and the New York teams moving forward. Do New Jersey also, the Devils, see what's going on with them. It's very close at the bottom for that last playoff spot. But as the season goes on, I'll be talking more about the hockey playoffs coming up and what's going on with it. And by the way, that game yesterday put the Rangers at a 7-game win streak, which is the longest in the NHL right now. So the Rangers at one point were the best team in hockey. I mean, they were killing everybody. Then they had a little bit of a slump. They lost, but they seem to be getting their step back again. So if you're a Ranger fan, this is an exciting time. The Rangers look really good. They're one of the Stanley Cup favorites this year. If you're looking at the betting odds and whatnot. So anyway, another great performance by the NHL. Another good game, another good showing. I can't wait to follow some more hockey. And I appreciate you guys all watching, listening to my videos. And just don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed it. You can share my video. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a great deal. I appreciate it, everybody. Take care, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye now.